Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the F Y'all Podcast. I am your co-host, Michael Wright, and across from me, as always, is the man you came to see, the one and only, the legendary Superman from Compton, C.T. Fletcher. How you doing today, Pops?
I'm blessed as always.
Always. We got a wonderful show for you today. We got two special guests. And let me introduce this beautiful woman sitting over here at the end of the couch. This woman just happens to be my mother. And my mother is here today. At the end of the show, she's going to give us a good history lesson on the town of Allensworth. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Mama, how you doing today?
I'm doing just fine.
Well, and she also just celebrated a birthday. My mother just turned 65 years old. This is where I get all my great looks from. My wonderful mother over here. Also, our second guest. And today we are honored to have this man sitting in the studio with us, with the career spanning almost 40 years. Today's guest has graced the screen in everything from blockbuster hits from Aquaman to the critically acclaimed films If Beale Street Could Talk, which I love. Who could not forget his unforgettable performance in Waiting to Exhale? A film that left an indelible mark on the culture. From dramatic TV roles in ER and The Third Watch to recent appearances in The Tulsa King and Mayor of Kingstown, he has shown unmatched versatility, tackling everything from action to drama and even horror. Today, we are diving into his journey through Hollywood, his approach to bringing complex characters to life, and what drives him to keep pushing boundaries. So buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the F Y'all Podcast, actor extraordinaire, Michael Beach. How are you today, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm glad to be here in the FU.
We have to abbreviate it. Because the old man over here, when we decided to do this show, I said, Pops, what we gonna call it?
Fuck y'all.
And I said, Pops, we can't name it. Why not?
Yes.
We can't. People are not gonna want to come on this show.
Fuck 'em.
Fuck 'em. Love it.
So he agreed. We called it the F Y'all Podcast, and people still come on the show. So you did something right around here.
Oh, you did. I'm glad to be here in the fuck y'all.
So, Mr. Beach, we're going to have a little fun with you today. And this is very, very, makes me feel good because I have my mother here. So, Solomon, if you could play this first clip from this wonderful movie, Waiting to Exhale. I got my mother here. I want to play this clip because my wonderful mother over here has some very choice words for you after this movie.
Yeah, I'm sure I've heard them before.
So, let's give the people some context.
You can go to the party tonight.
Crushed. What?
I guess there's no appropriate time to tell you this, but I'm going to the party, just not with you. She.
Damn.
She.
That must
Y'all young and silly.
Why should she be?
It's that bitch who keeps
You
your
using
books,
trouble.
isn't it? And you picked tonight to flaunt your whore in front of all your business partners and your friends. What the hell are they supposed to think, John?
The truth. Finally, the truth. I'm leaving you for her.
Ooh. Now that particular clip right there had a rise out of a lot of women,
sure did.
especially this young lady over here. So I found it.
I don't know what he's talking about.
So you ain't gonna tell him all the bad stuff you said about.
I
the man.
said you were a great actor.
Yeah,
You had a lot of people angry with you.
yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when that happens, it means that you drew
You
us
did your
into the
job.
character.
Absolutely.
And so for a moment there, until we processed it, we had to wake up and realize he was just acting.
Yeah.
But that was a good scene.
Well, there's a lot of women that did not know that I was acting.
Well, the reason I brought that up is because as I was researching you, I heard you talk about that as far as the kind of backlash you got, and I wanted to touch on that. What was that like for you after that movie came out?
Well, I mean, it was there was a lot of physical reaction, not just verbal. But I had women pushing me and slapping my back or trying to slap the back of my head. You know.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, it was real. It was real, and it's funny because I think that's the first scene where a man appears.
Yeah.
And when I first come out and Angie is there looking good looking. And we start talking, you hear in the audience, the ladies are like, woo, it's all good. Everything's good. Until I say what I say. And then it's like, oh, this motherfucker. And it changes immediately. And that film and then Soul Food on top of that.
I was getting soul.
has to this day. Now this is almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I get the most incredible hate. I think my character's the most hated man in Waiting to Exhale, and there's quite a few.
Yeah.
Right, but mine is. I think mine is disliked the most. What do you say?
I agree.
What do you say?
Absolutely. That just means you did your job.
Well, when I leave Angie for a white woman, that right there kind of takes the cake.
Solomon, cue up clip number 2, please.
It's my favorite scene.
You want to?
Oh,
yeah, this is my favorite scene right here.
Kathleen,
John.
there she is.
Yeah.
The great Kelly Preston.
you want to have a copy?
God rest her soul.
Thank you.
He passed.
If you examine the profile on the Gary report, you'll find... Bernadine, I'm in a meeting here. If you need something, I suggest...
Would you mind terribly if I had a few words with my husband? Oh,
What the hell are you doing?
I've been to the bank. Thank you. Thank you for thinking of your children.
Everybody out.
Yes, out.
You don't come into my office and start throwing some tantrum because you can't finish what you started.
What am I supposed to do for money?
I gave you the house, now sell it.
I hate you.
Acting right there, boy.
What were your ages? Your age and Angela's age? Do you know her age?
I think I think Angie's about 4 years older than I am.
Okay, so she's my age.
She might be 5 years older, but so I can't remember here. I was probably, I don't even know, man. 30 years ago, so I was 30. Not quite 30. So I was maybe
Real
31,
young,
32.
Real young in there.
But Angie is always look good.
Yeah.
I mean, she looks like she's 40 now.
Yeah.
And she looks amazing.
I don't know what she's doing over there. She clearly has found the fountain.
Oh, she is. And
just
she
saw
is
something.
she's as fine in person. There's no it's not hocus pocus. It's real. Yeah.
So to prepare for a scene like that, what are you pulling from? Or is it just all your years of training and you can kind of tap into a role that easily? But
no, it's just it really is the script, right? You pay attention to it, where you are, what you're trying to do, what you want, Like a lot of people say, oh, if you're playing the bad guy, you must think of something one way, or the good guy you think is. But I never see myself as a good or bad guy because we don't walk around like that in real life, right? So you try to just be as honest as possible, and even though everybody sees John, this character, as a bad guy, I have to continue to play what it is that he wants, what he's going after, what he thinks is, for whatever reason, the right thing to do in his mind, and not judge that. You know what I mean? Because if you do, then you start to see it in the performance, and you don't want to do that.
So Forrest Whitaker directed this film. What was it like working with Forrest?
It was awesome, man.
Was it?
Because Forrest would tell me that John is the good guy.
Oh,
yeah. Forrest would tell me, what you're doing is, there's a few things that are not in the film that we shot that, and that always happens. That's just the way it is. But he would never. I think he was working hard to make sure that I didn't think John was a bad guy. Which that's not how I work anyway, but he was really confirming this. Like, no, let's not think about that. He must have been doing it with all the dudes in the movie
because none of the brothers was good except Wesley at the end.
And it's funny because in the book, in the second, like Wes's character, it turns out, I think it was a follow-up or something. I can't remember. Yeah. But Wes's character turns out that he was that motherfucker was lying too.
Oh,
was
he? You know, so don't quote me on this. The women that love Wes's character. But yeah, so it's you can just do your best to make a real well-rounded person.
Yeah.
And the audience will do what the audience does, you know.
They did.
So I heard talks there were supposed to be a sequel to that movie. How if that would have happened, do you think it would have taken off like the original?
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, you never know what's gonna happen with a project. You just do it, right? If I read it, I love it, or I don't. You know, there's something that makes me want to do it, either the actors in it, the writing, the director, whatever. And then you shoot it. It's different today, but because back then you would make a movie, you'd wait for a long time, and then it comes out, and and you're on the other thing, so you don't know if you haven't even been thinking about it.
Yeah.
And you just have no clue if it's gonna hit or if it's gonna just.
And you had
Nobody.
no clue about this one?
Nah, I mean, you knew that it would make noise.
Yeah, okay.
Because you had Whitney and Babyface did the music.
Yeah.
Which he did for Soul Food as well. And so you have inklings, but there have been a lot of times when films that was supposed to do something and then they just flop. Yeah. So you have no idea. And you kind of, and maybe this is a season thing, but you put yourself at a disadvantage if you're expecting like, now I'm gonna blow up and I'm gonna be a big movie star, or I'm gonna start making millions and millions of dollars. You just have no idea. You just need to keep moving and dealing with what's in front of you, and then if something that you did in the past, takes off, then beautiful, great for you, but don't rely on it.
So you work with some outstanding leading women.
Yes, I have.
Who's your favorite?
My favorite? I
don't know my favorite.
Nah, I love working. I love the creative process and being on set and working with different people. So I have rarely had like a bad time on set. And just because I just love it so much, you know what I mean? And there are always people that are equally as excited. There are also people who are, they seem to have problems no matter what. But I always think, man, there are millions of people that would like to be in the situation I'm in right now. And so it would be a damn shame if I was there complaining and whining about the wonderful fortune that I have right in front of me. So I don't do that. I find it to be ungrateful and young, childish, silly. So I don't do that.
Answer your question, because I got another one.
Ignorant question. But just to stay on this movie, so you kind of named off some of the people in this movie: Whitney Houston, Loretta Devine.
Oh yeah,
you, Angela Bassett, Layla Rashawn. Like, what was that? What was the set like to have all these heavyweights in one movie? What was it like coming to work every day?
Well, if you notice, really, because the men, we had Michael T. Williamson, we had Dennis Haysbert, we had Wendell Pierce, Wesley Snipes. So who actually my first film was with Wes, about 10 years or so before this. But if you notice, the men are only with one woman, basically.
Yeah.
So we shot this in Arizona. So pretty much the women were always there, and the men, because we were in LA and Arizona's real close, we literally came in 2 or 3 times to shoot each time, and every time I came in, it was just to work with Angela. Okay. And then Whitney was in one. one or two of the scenes I did, and actually her last film I also did a remake of Sparkle.
Yeah.
And so you didn't really get to see and feel the scope of everybody.
Gotcha.
Because you weren't working with everybody.
And I think that's for people who are not actors and we just see the movie magic once it's done.
Right.
We don't really know the behind the scenes of how this is getting filmed or who's there. We just assume that all of you guys are in this collective group.
Yeah, yeah.
You're all working together.
And we actually never saw each other. Like, I know all the guys, they're pretty much friends of mine. I didn't see them on set at all because we were never there on the same day.
Wow. So you brought up Whitney. I want to ask you about Whitney, and I know you said you just worked on her last movie. What was Whitney like? Just that, and I think we see Whitney, the superstar. What was just like in those moments where you just got to sit and talk with her? What is she?
Well, I think like the last film, Sparkle. She obviously had a lot of her problems, but I found her this time. She was very grateful to be working and doing it was a really interesting project. The original is such a good movie, mm-hmm. and the one we did had so many good actors as well. And so she was, from my perspective, just enjoying being among the artistry again, in front of the film and the scenes where I was with everyone, because my character was like a kind of lecherous preacher, and yeah, kind of, yeah. And so it was fun. People were taking pictures and laughing and telling stories, and I think I saw Whitney was just kind of soaking it up. She was just enjoying it, and that was nice to see.
She always seemed like such an amazing person. Like I said, we only see her on TV and are
Right.
singing, so we don't get to see the human side of people
Right.
a lot of the time.
Right.
So was always interested in that other side of her. You hear so much said about her, so I was just interested to get your perspective on, you having that time with her, just what type of person she was. So
I'm interested in knowing all them different love scenes you doing. All these-
Yeah.
Go ask your question. Go ask your question, ignorant man.
Did you ever get any feelings for your co-star?
Lord.
Now, see, I know you saying that, but look, it happens.
Now you mean like
You know what I mean, Mike?
no, but do you mean physical
man.
feelings,
Yes.
or do you mean like emotional
man.
feelings
From
from shooting the scenes, or just working in general?
Well, I'm gonna put it like this. I'm gonna go way back.
Go way
Since
back.
You not no kid. Humphrey Bogart
Yes.
and Lauren Bacall
Yes. Yes.
made a movie
Yes.
and wind up getting married.
Yes.
I want to know, did you get any of those kind of feelings?
No, not really. I mean,
You kind of slow on, kind of hesitate.
Trying to get this man in trouble, Bob.
Hesitate a little bit.
I mean, there's a couple of films where, even before I was married, where, I thought maybe something could happen that, that could grow into something. But no, nothing ever, I mean, outside of, because a lot of what a lot of people want to know is, oh, well, when you're doing these love scenes, are you, did you get hard, or my French, mom, but the truth is that there's so many people around.
Yeah, everybody looking.
But you kind of, you almost, for the sake of the woman, you kind of want to, because it's like, oh, I do find you attractive. I do find you. But at the same time, you don't, because there's so many people around and it's so technical. I try, like the scene in Soul Food when we're up in the studio, and
She made me cover my eyes at that point.
yeah, I get it. I was trying to. George Tillman directed it. That was like basically his second film, but his first real solid film. I implored them to let the scene play as opposed to, because so many love scenes, especially back then, were all edits, right? It's like cut,
Yeah.
So you got a whole bunch of different angles,
You told me, let me do my thing.
Yeah, so no, I was just saying, like, let the camera be back for a little while and let us see how it feels.
Let him cook.
Yeah. Let him cook and let it cook. And if you watch the movie, it's kind of cool because I think there's only like 2 or 3 shots, where they cut into. But you feel the tension. You feel the passion, and then you feel the regret. And it's in the same shot almost, So I think that for me, that was a smart way to shoot. I'm glad, he wasn't just him listening to me. I mean, he's a super seasoned director, but he was new. I mean, I'm not saying anything out of school. He was definitely new. And that's one thing I really wanted to feel, because there's so much to it, because he's not in love with her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's missing something. She's missing something. And they think they can give it to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And at least from his standpoint, he realizes I made a mistake. Like right after.
Instantly.
And of course people always say, well, dude, I mean, that was only 3 seconds. What happened? Like, nah. It's just, with the editing and stuff, give me 3 minutes at least, bro.
But that's the thing. It's interesting. I see all of these think pieces now. So people go back and watch movies like Soul Food or Waiting to Exhale, and to see what your perspective on that movie was like. When I was younger watching Soul Food, you would look at Terry as the villain. But really, when I look at it through almost 50-year-old eyes, like, I don't necessarily think Terry was the villain in that movie. She had a lot going on. She was handling a lot. I totally understand her frustration with the family at my age now. So it's interesting to look back on this stuff. It's like, I look at this totally different. I see these characters totally different now than the way I saw them when I was, 15 when that movie came out or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I love the difference between Exhale and Soul Food, because in Exhale, the men don't really have much of a perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, they are the villains.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly. In Soul Food, I think you get to see more of what they're going through and their perspective on the relationship and what they're lacking in or needing from the relationship they're in. You see that a lot with Makai's character, and you have a really great relationship with Vivica's character and her husband, stuff like that. So I think it was a nice, for me, it was a nice, because after Exhale, I got a lot of offers to do certain things, but they seem to be just another bad husband, with no redeeming qualities. And when Exhale came up, and even though, again, people blame Miles for everything, it's that you at least get to see a little bit more of what he's going through and the relationship between he and Terry.
Now, you consistently work. What is the secret to having that consistency over these 40 years you've been doing? 40 years consistently work, because, some people aren't that fortunate.
Yeah.
But you've been consistent for 40 years.
I don't know, brother. I think first of all, it's good fortune. As some of it has nothing to do with me. And some of it
You weren't a good actor.
Yeah.
They
well,
wouldn't be
but
hired.
there's a lot of good actors. Just like you're saying, CT, there's a lot of good actors who just kind of fall off after 10 years or 20 years or whatever. They, so I don't think it's just good acting, which I obviously that contributes, but it's also I like I said earlier, I really love what I do, and so I try to be. It's respecting what I do and the fact that I get to do it. So when I come to set, I know all my stuff. I treat everybody equally. Like I don't care what your position is on the set. You deserve respect. You know, the only time a person doesn't deserve respect is when they're not showing me respect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And you give that person a couple of chances. And then, after a while.
What it is after this.
But in general, it's like everybody deserves respect. Everybody's there to work. Everybody's to be honest, on set anyway, most people work harder than the actors. They're out there busting their ass all the time. The actors, we don't work every day and we don't always work all day. So, but the crew is there every day, all day. Physical labor, mental labor, all of that. We don't have to worry about that all the time. So we have a trailer we can go back to, and I'm tired. I gotta, you can go chill in your trailer or watch TV or, whatever. So it's good to keep in mind that we are very fortunate, that we are, extremely lucky and grateful. And I keep doing it because I keep those things in mind and I work hard. I never want to waste people's time. I want to make sure that if the crew is there longer than they need to be, it's not because of me. Because I know my stuff. I'm hitting my lines. I'm hitting my marks. So I think it's the fact that it's still a joy for me to be there. I'm not gonna complain about shit. If I don't like something in the scene or the writing or whatever, I deal with it long before I get to set. Okay. Like I have the writer's email or phone number, and I call them and I ask them, whatever problem I have, why is this or why is that, and blah blah blah, and we work it out.
How open are the writers or the directors to an actor coming in and say, hey, I think we should change this, or it just depends on the director or
the writer?
Yeah, it depends on the writer and the director and who the actor is. Obviously, if you have some major star, it don't matter. They're going to listen to him. A guy like me, I consider myself a journeyman. I'm not a star. I'm kind of like a journeyman guy who
selling yourself short.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can't sell a movie on me. That's what a star is. Like nobody's gonna say, hey, Mike Beach, let's make him number one, and we're gonna get a lot of butts in the seats. Now, I'm not saying I don't get any butts in the seats, but Hollywood is not going to rely on me to get butts in the seats. They're gonna rely on somebody else, and then they're gonna go, oh well, who can we surround this dude with that people will know, and that and they'll enhance the project. Wow. So that's the kind of guy I am. That's the actor I am, right in that realm. I don't think I'm selling myself short. I'm just being honest with myself.
I get what you're saying. I guess for us. Especially the culture, like you are,
right, and I appreciate that. So I'm not saying I'm an unknown. No, I'm just saying I'm not the guy that they rely on to sell the movie.
Okay,
right?
Okay, you're not the guy they rely on to sell the movie, but if given the opportunity to be that guy, do you think you're to that? I personally think you can handle whatever the fuck they ask you to do.
Yeah.
But so I don't think you're selling yourself short at all. I think you can act. I think if given a Sidney Poitier-ish leading role, I think you can handle it.
Yeah, I mean, I have been the lead in some films. A lot of those they're indie films, where the financial burden is not as big,
right,
as in a Hollywood blockbuster, or even a smaller studio film, but it's studio film. So like I've been the number one on the call sheet, which that's what they call the, they break it down 1, 2, 3, 4 on the call sheet, and that's considered the hierarchy.
Yeah.
And it just depends. Yeah, but if somebody if a studio wanted to say, "Hey, Mike Beach, we want you," I'll fuck that up. I'm not going to turn it down, and I'm not afraid of it.
Yeah. No.
It's just that the nature of the business, especially as I get older and older, is I'm not gonna be the young leading man. That's those days are past. Not to say that you can't be. I play a lot of leads, but not the lead. So and I'm not. I'll work with anybody, and nobody scares me, and nobody intimidates me. But I do appreciate who I'm working with. If I'm working with like the Mr. James Earl Jones, who just passed.
Well,
and
I just took my next question right out of my mouth.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, those are, you realize how fortunate you are. You're like, okay, this is a star, right? This is a legend. This is, and so you go, over the years, when you get to work with more and more legends like that, and you build this career, and that's what makes me smile about my 40 years, is that I can look back and there's a ton of people I can say, yes, I worked with this person and that person. And not that I had a line with them, but I had multiple scenes, that I was a integral part of the story.
Killed my own.
Yeah, exactly. And that's fun. That is exciting. And that's what I want to continue to do, that I can continue to do as I age and hopefully stay in the business for another 25 years.
Yeah, I mean, you if they had a part for a 40-year-old dude, you could play that.
Well, hey, I just take this off.
So you brought up James Earl Jones. We're losing. It seems like we're losing a lot of our legends here. We just lost John Amos yesterday.
John Amos, that's right.
Lost Tito Jackson a couple weeks ago. James Earl Jones. What was that? Yeah, Dikembe Mutombo just passed.
I heard about
working with James Earl Jones.
Yeah,
what was that like? We know the voice is iconic.
Right.
Acting skills are iconic, but for somebody that got to work with this man, what was that? What was that like?
It was great. I mean, I worked with him three or four times, and 2 times very closely, and just. I mean, he's just the most humble dude. Yeah. And it's funny that a lot of people don't know, even though he's said it in interviews, but they never really use it in the films. But he grew up with a major stutter.
Yeah.
He had it all through his younger life, and he still had it as an adult, but obviously it was much he overcame a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
But in the film, I did a film called
Glass Shield?
No, what was it called? It was called A Family Thing. Okay, and so Irma P. Hall, who was the mother in Soul Food, right? She played James Earl's mother.
Ooh.
Or auntie, right? And then Robert Duvall was James Earl's half brother, and that was the whole storyline. Is that they were, Duvall was a racist, and he found out that he was half black. So to be able to work with them together,
heavyweights
was, and you just go again. You go. So for me, when I'm in my hotel room or house, wherever I happen to be up, I'm working my lines. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and what this particular word means and this little phrase and everything. And, and because I'm like, I gotta be ready
Oh yeah.
because I'm working with the big dogs.
Yeah, you just said you don't get intimidated, but walking in with James Earl Jones, that's like, how do you?
It's funny because it's not intimidation to me. Is something that prevents you from rising to the occasion, right? So I do feel pressure,
but not it. Okay.
But it's a juicy motherfucking thing. You know what I mean? It's just like it's like this is what I fought for to get here, to be in this position, and I'm not gonna crumble. I'm gonna rise to the occasion, right? And I have to because I'm working with these bad boys. So it's definitely more than if I was just on a set with other actors who are unknown or even like me or whatever. I always do my best.
Yeah.
But there's just that pressure when you just go, hey, like when I work out, I love working out. I do my best. If I was working out with this motherfucker right here, I'd be like, oh, I got pressure and I got to step up, So it's just the same idea, It's
get to the workout.
Yeah, we get there because we got to get you in the Iron Addicts one day. We got to get about the Iron Addicts.
Before we leave James Earl Jones, I have to ask this question. I was pissed. I still remember this. I was pissed. The year in the Oscars, James Earl Jones played Jack Johnson.
Yes.
I felt that was an Oscar-worthy performance. And I was sitting on my TV, I was pissed off.
Right.
God damn it.
Right.
And I want to know, did you think that he should have won the Oscar that year?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't watched the Oscars in 30 years.
Oh, wow.
And it's part of the reason.
Fuck him, huh?
Right? Yeah, it's because it's kind of bullshit.
Yeah, my piece said fuck the Oscars.
Yeah, no, fuck them, for real, seriously. In that sense, it's not fuck the people, but the idea, because it's so, more and more you're in it, it's so political.
Oh, yeah.
It's so, like there are people that are not nominated in films that you haven't seen. And it's just because they don't have the money to publicize the particular film or the particular actor or actress or whatever. And it's all a game, dude. It's all like hocus pocus. There's so much money put into it, and it's pushing all these people, there's a lot of people like go, why didn't this person win, or why didn't that person
win? Won.
Yeah, Angie, Fishburne, my man Fish, he was like, come on, dude.
Denzel should have won a few more.
Yeah, and it's just, and even like Al Pacino, not even a black thing, like Al Pacino won for The Scent of a Woman.
Yeah,
it's like for all the other shit before. Yeah, and so
pick this one.
Yeah, and it's there's no rhyme or reason to it, and so I haven't seen the Oscars, I haven't seen the Emmys, I haven't seen any of them. I haven't seen the NAACP awards because it's kind of. And don't get me, if somebody nominated me for an Oscar, my black ass would be there, right? But that's because, like, decision, like, career-wise and money-wise and all that shit, that's where that really comes into play. But in general, it's like to say, oh, this guy is the best actor or the best actress, and he won over him or whatever. It's kind of...
It's all subjective, though.
It is subjective.
It's the same thing when you talk about who's the greatest basketball player of all time.
Right, even though we know it's Jordan, but but I agree with you.
Yes, but the younger generation is going to fight for LeBron. They're going to say LeBron is the greatest. But again, at the end of the day, who's the greatest rapper of all time? Who's the greatest singer of all time? It's all subjective.
Right. But we do that. I mean, you do that every year.
Yeah.
in Hollywood. You know, that's who gets the Oscar every year. Somebody, you know, gets an Oscar, and you just go, wow, there's so many projects that you haven't seen that won't even be considered because there's just not enough money for the publicity to take hold. You know, a lot of films come out, most films come out, and if you don't know that they exist, and most people don't because of the advertising, then you won't know the great performances that you've missed.
Yes, absolutely. I want to know how a kid from Boston
Or Roxbury, right?
Roxbury, yes, sir.
gets into Juilliard.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So so I'm from Roxbury, right? The hood in Boston. You know, in the 60s and the 70s. New Editions from there. They're a little younger, but they're from there. And so I got a football scholarship to
What position did you play?
running back.
Oh,
Right.
right.
So football scholarship to a white prep school outside of Roxbury, outside of Boston, kind of in the suburbs, a place called Dedham. But it was this great school called Noble and Greenos, and we just, for short, we call it Nobles. And I got a scholarship there. There's a program called A Better Chance, and they're still around. But it was basically you go into the inner cities and you find these talented kids, academically, athletically, all that, and you help give them scholarships. And so I got one, and I was given some money by the school. I went there to play football, and things were looking good. And then all of a sudden, I got hurt. I ripped the ligaments in my ankle, bad, real bad. And I spent about a year trying to come back, and I was doing every other sport I could do to try to revive myself and keep healthy and strong. But my ankle was shot. So they have morning announcements and assemblies where everybody in the school gets together and they talk about what's happening for the week.
Yeah.
You know, different clubs, you know, the sports clubs and the chess club and all.
Do that when I was
They don't.
do
Yeah,
that
but they do that still at the school that I went to.
wow,
They
that's
still
good.
do that. I mean, it's a private prep school. You know, it's very expensive now. But so anyway, people are afraid to make announcements because you got to stand up and
Right.
make it in front of the whole
everybody,
school.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. The first one I did, somebody asked me if I would do it, and I said, "Yeah, fuck yeah, I'll do it." Right?
Problem.
Yeah. So
Give me the mic.
right, give me the mic. So I stood up, I did it. People enjoyed it. They were laughing, and then it just kind of rolled in. Other people were asking me if I would do them, and this is around the time of trying to recover from my ankle problems, and then all of a sudden, someone asks me if I would do a play, and I said, "Well, play? What? I don't do plays. I'm an athlete." You know? And he said, "Well, I think you would be good in it." And he said, "You should audition for this play." And I said no about 2 or 3 times. And eventually, for whatever reason, I said, "Okay, I'll audition." I auditioned. Believe it or not, it was this play called The Diary of Anne Frank.
Yeah.
Right? About the Holocaust
Right.
family
Absolutely. Uh-huh.
hiding out. And, you know, what is this young black kid that was 17 years old? What is he doing in a play about the Holocaust? You know,
I was wondering that myself.
well, you know, I mean, they were trying to be progressive.
Oh,
You know,
okay,
that's
okay.
so. I mean,
I'm
you know,
like, which part, you know?
check mark to my. Yeah, I played I wasn't a member of the family. I was one of the people that was hiding the family out
Oh,
in
now
the
that's-
attic. Yeah,
that's,
who was that character was a Dutch Jew as well.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I seen it. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
with
exactly.
you. I seen it. So I'm like,
Right.
where does this?
Yeah, where does he
What
fit in?
part?
Was there a butler there or something?
Yeah.
Like,
What
nah,
part?
right. So the whole experience, the rehearsal and all of that, long before we got on stage, was so exciting to me. I loved it so much, and it reminded me. And then once I got on stage, just that live feedback with the audience reminded me of 43 dive through the middle when I'm on the field going through these big motherfuckers, and just going low and saying, "Yo, I'm not afraid of y'all." That visceral excitement is what I still got on stage.
Man.
And
Sound
dude,
like
so
about being under a bench press.
yeah. And I just fell in love. And so I went up for everything I could go up for, and I got every role I could go up for. And then come near the end of my high school, the people were telling me, one man in particular, he said, "You should audition for theater schools." And I was like, "What's a theater school?" Literally, this was all maybe 10 months. I mean, it was that fast.
Wow.
And so they gave me a list of schools, and I said, okay, I didn't know any of them. I never heard of Juilliard. Why would I hear Juilliard? I was from the hood. I don't know shit about it. And so I auditioned for all of them. I got into them. And I said, well, which one should I go to? And they were like, yo, idiot, go to Juilliard. It's the best, So I end up going there. I had no idea that it was, because Juilliard is mostly classical theater.
Yeah.
Shakespeare, Ibsen, Chekhov, Gorky, all these, old white writers, but amazing writers.
Yeah.
Right. And I was scared to death of them because the language was like a foreign language to me, until you really get into it and you start to figure out what these people are saying, and you go, yo, Shakespeare is as gangster as anybody.
Yeah, wherefore art thou?
I mean, that dude is for real. He's throwing it down. He's throwing it down.
Unbelievable.
So that experience for me was just it just confirmed it. This is when I said, oh, I might be able to do this for a living.
So what do your parents say? You come home and say, I'm going to Juilliard.
Well, yeah. Well, my father was not in the picture.
Okay.
So I wasn't raised with a father. It was just my mom. And my mom was a huge education person, right? So most of my family hadn't gone to college. She didn't even go to college because she had my older brother, who's a couple years older than you, when she was 19, and she didn't go to college, and she started having kids. So,
but she wanted you to go.
Yeah, but then she was very intelligent woman. She ended up, while we were in college, me and my younger sister, she ended up going to MIT.
All right.
So she was
Mom.
very, very bright. So she went years later, but she ended up going to college.
MIT is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah. Exactly, bro. Exactly. And so my inkling was that, based on what she had really instilled in us, is to, you must be educated. You must be educated.
Like this lady over here.
There you go. And so it was a big part of, but I was at Nobles because of my mom, because she was always looking for, schools that were alternatives to what they were putting us in.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
this is what, the 70s?
Yeah, I first went there in mid-70s. And it was because of her. It was because of her that all of my older brother got into some trouble, and so he never ended up in college, and he ended up somewhere else, and he ended up getting his GEDs, and he's on the straight and narrow now. He's doing well. But it was because of my mom.
Absolutely. Mamas is
Yeah.
they all right.
So this is
Mom's-
big mama's
mom's
boy
mom.
right here.
Yeah, I am
right.
I
definitely.
wouldn't
mama's
classify
boy.
myself as a mama's boy.
Yeah,
she
I
wasn't having
would.
a mama's boy stuff. Definitely, and we try our best to, when we have guests on, talk about their early life and just their relationships, especially in most seem like everybody's got the relationship with the mothers is always
Yeah.
super tight. So
Yeah.
we all
You know what? I always wanted, I was always wondered what it would be like to have a relationship with my father.
Yeah.
Because it's weird. I don't know what it is to be the son of a man. You know what I mean? And I have 8 children. So it was always, even though like my first marriage, I got divorced after 17 years, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay. I think I know where you're going with that. But I was like, whether I'm a good father or not, I have to be present.
Absolutely.
I have to at least try to be there, and hopefully over the years I'll get better. If I'm not a good father, that I'll get better at it. But I don't want to not be there, And so that was always important to me, and it was important to me because I never knew what it was like
you
to
knew
be.
the effects
Yeah.
of a father not being there.
Yeah,
And I don't think we as a people talk about the importance of fathers.
Right.
Normally the mother gets all the credit, which is perfectly fine. I look at my situation. This gentleman sitting on the other side of that wall. That I tell everybody that's my father, but at the end of the day, it's my stepdad. But he came into my life when I was young, and he's been a constant presence in my life. And I don't know where I would be if it was not for his guidance. Don't get me wrong, my mother's amazing, but to have a man in my life like that I saw every day, get up, go to work, never complain, did
That's
what he
right.
had to do.
That's right.
And in no way, shape, or form am I trying to sit here and say I'm perfect. But the good qualities that I do have, I owe to that man sitting on the other side of that wall.
Well, listen, man, one of my children is adopted, and we adopted him when he was 9 years old, and he's 18 now. And to me, he's just one of my kids.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And in fact, I like him better than some other kids. And I think that's the idea, right? It's just that to have that guidance, not to have perfection, but just to have somebody you see get up and go to work and come home and pay the bills and love their wife. Which is one of the things that I think in my house, because my kids are always like, because I'm always touching my wife's ass, and always kissing on her. And always, exactly. And I think that seeing that and being around that and understanding that is as normal as anything, because we in our community we normalize having just the mom.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like when I was a kid, in my neighborhood, I think there was like one dude with a father.
Wow.
Maybe 2 that I can think about. And this is of all my friends. And
But I remember it was a little different for you growing up. It was most of the people
It
in the
was different.
neighborhood had dads, though, right?
There were men everywhere
yeah.
that got up and went to work.
See, I missed that.
Yeah.
I totally
About
missed
5 years shy.
5 years shy. Was that what it was? Were you in Roxbury?
No.
No, it just made me think of it, just how, these different areas. I remember her telling me growing up, like, most of the kids had their fathers there, and then to hear you talk,
Yeah.
you grew up in these where it's mainly, just the mothers in the household.
I grew up with my dad in the home. And
Right.
just to give you another side, my dad was there. Every
Right.
day, got up, went to work, and I hated it.
Right.
I hated it. So, it ain't always
No.
wonderful.
But I think it's funny because a lot of people say, well, there's this, and you go, yeah, of course, everything being equal, right? Is it better to have 2 parents in the house as opposed to 1 parent in the house? It doesn't mean that it's always better. Like you say, like I didn't have my father because my father was a drunk and abusive. And my mother kicked his ass out.
Well,
So she did probably what's best for us. and for her. So I'm not saying that's always the case, but in general, I think, as a man, and and if people want to disagree with me, that's fine. I don't give a fuck. This is my opinion.
That's right.
I would prefer that a man and a woman be in the house as the leaders of the house and raising kids. Now, of course, if the man is a drunkard and abusive, then kick his ass out. But of course, that's always true. The same with the mom. If the mom has her problems, then maybe it's just the dad that should be kick her ass out, and the dad should be doing it. You know what I mean? It's not. It doesn't mean I'm not saying I don't care what the situation is. Of course, the situation is
preferably.
Preferably.
I agree with you. Yeah, even though my dad, he wasn't a drunk, but he was an abuser.
Right.
Damn, I hated to hear him with his keys when he get home from work in the front door. I'm like, damn, I wish I could disappear.
Right.
Pastor.
Yeah, he was a preacher. Yes,
see,
man.
there you go. You never. It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
whoa.
Man.
All right. No.
Okay.
You brought it up. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Don't skip over this.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Mike.
You've been on me all week
Thank you,
about
Mike.
this. So and this is things you've talked about. So
yeah,
you talked about you being previously married before. So you have an interesting family dynamic at this point in time, where your current wife, your 4 children with your current wife, live with your ex-wife. I couldn't fathom that whatsoever.
How in the hell did you get away with that shit? That's what I want to know. That's my question.
It's funny because we did Black Love, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. I can't remember. And we talked about this. So it wasn't like, it was not new. And it's not something I shy away from. I'm not, I'm happy that our situation has worked out. And then I did Sway's
I saw because
podcast.
it just recently came back up.
Right.
Where I saw people talking about
dude,
it.
people, that's a poly thing. You getting your cake and eating it too. You're having sex with 2 women and this and it's stupid and it doesn't work and it's this and that. And what's so funny is like I will never go on another person's page and tell them what's going on in their life.
That's some stupid shit.
I know
exactly what
I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't mind people asking questions, but then when they come on and they tell you what's going on in your house, it's like, you have never been in my motherfucking house. What are you talking about?
All the time.
And it's like, and I say, listen, I understand how weird this is and how awkward it is and how, I don't even know anybody else who does it, right? So I get it. I understand that. But there's no Pauly shit going on in my house. I do not sleep with my ex-wife. I love her to death, but there's no way. I have zero interest in sleeping with her. And I haven't for decades now. She's just a part of my family. I mean, I don't understand how we have 4 children together, right? She is, she's somebody, I met her when she was 21 maybe. And she went from her father to living with her father to living with me, right? And then we started having kids, I think a year or 2 later. Something like that. Because my oldest is about to turn 38. And she never started her own career because she was 22 or so when she started having kids. We have 4 children and she was raising kids. I was out making movies and doing what I was doing at Exhale and Soul Food and shit like that. And so she just, was a mom and that she was happy with that and she was excited for that and that was her thing. So when we ended up getting divorced, I gave, like she had the house, and she had she had everything she needed.
It was good.
Because for me, like, honestly, money means very little to me. Like I don't drive $200,000 cars, or I don't have my house is not a $5 million house. I mean, it's a nice house.
Yeah.
We'll say that.
I ain't gonna.
Beach's gym is very nice.
Yeah, yeah, I mean,
Gym is
yeah.
very nice.
I'm doing well, and I'm happy about it. But I'm not a dude that has to wear this, and I don't have an entourage, and I don't have an assistant or bodyguards or any of that shit. It's just not me, and I just don't. It will never be me, right? And so it's unimportant to me that I have all these things, but the people I'm supposed to love has nothing, or that they don't reap the benefits of my work, right? And because of the things that they were doing to help me and to help our family when I was doing that work. And so, she ended up living with a couple of our kids, or adult kids. And then they're adult kids. They want to go off and they don't want to live with their mom. So
I live with you, mama.
Right. Right. You have a choice, right, mom? And so at one point, a couple of them came to live with me. And the two girls moved out on their own. And my ex ended up staying with us with the intention of her getting her own place. This is after a couple of houses that we had. Now, obviously, she has her own wing. Not wing, but she has her own. She has her own area. Yeah, it's her room, her bathroom, her, all of that. It's not even close to my bedroom with my wife. And
how many square feet is that house? Got the separate wings.
It's not that big. No, my house honestly is about 4,000 square feet.
That's a pretty big house.
Yeah, but I got 4 kids in there.
Yeah,
too.
They were pretty big.
Well, to me, with the houses I know, that's not that big.
Well, yeah. See, in my neck of the woods.
yeah, I get it. But yeah, about 4,000. But like, I mean, dudes, I go over there. The house is 10,000 square feet.
Yeah, I've been
like, I would
Dre's house.
I would get lost. Like, first of all, I have no desire to have a 10,000 square foot house. To me, it's this. Yeah. Anyway, it's too much. It's too much. And I gotta heat this whole motherfucker. The AC and all that.
That's too much load on the house.
What? Are you kidding me?
Shaq talked about that. Shaq said just on utilities, he can spend $30,000, $40,000
easy,
just on
dude.
utilities.
Easy. When you have a pool and you gotta heat that pool, all it's ridiculous, dude.
Just to keep the maintenance. I was like,
right. And so, and of course, I don't have Shaq's money. I don't even have Shaq's left foot money. You know what I mean? So, so anyway, it just as I was working a lot, which fortunately I always have, and we started. My wife and I now, Alicia and I, started having children. It just because, and the other thing is, like, I've never hired anybody to take care of my kids, right? So even with the first set, we never had nannies, right? It was just us and family members,
right?
And I like it that way, and that's how it has remained. Now I do have somebody that helps my children with their academics. Right, but she's not a babysitter, or and neither is Tracy. She's not a babysitter. Tracy's my ex-wife's name. It was another thing that people say, "Oh, well, you have her as a indentured servant, and she's doing it." Trust me, she's living her life. She's doing her thing. And so it just when we first got divorced. Just like everybody else, contentious, money. Where's the money? You're hiding this. You're hiding that. It was crazy for about 7 years, and the whole time I'm going, let's just get a mediator. Let's just get a mediator, because the shark lawyers in Hollywood, Man, it was ridiculous. So eventually we got through that. And then a couple of years later, this is when they moved in with us, and then the girls moved out, and we were going to get Tracy her own place. And it just got comfortable. And because I was away a lot, my wife, Alicia, just found it very helpful. And they got along as people. And it just, it just melded into this, and that this is what it is. And it's not a big mystery or secret or some kind of cabal going on where, it's just the way it is. And Tracy and I are just like, I don't know. We're just family, dude. And to be honest with you, and this is no strike against her, and I'm sure she feels the same way about me, but I don't even remember having sex with her. I mean, you know what, dude? It's just not, the idea is,
But like you were saying earlier, my thing, when I started seeing this, just the comments alone, and like you said, like, who are they to tell you?
Man.
My thing, if it works for y'all, that's
Right.
all that matters at
Right.
the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Because I was going to ask you how you deal with the comment. We had Terry Crews on. Terry Crews was our first guest on this show.
Yeah.
And I asked him
That's my brother.
about the comment section. And he said, when I read the comment, I said, especially the negative stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, how do you process the negative stuff on social media? He said, I use it as fuel.
Right.
We've had other people on that say, it takes everything in them to keep from wanting to go around there and slap somebody. But
That was probably me.
Right.
hey, but like for your situation, just to see the comments and people telling you how this should work or that, again, you don't live
Yeah.
with this man. You don't know his family
Nah,
dynamic
they
and
don't
what
know.
works for him.
And you know that. But you know what? When you give people who you don't know the power to manipulate you, then you're the loser.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they're like, not to say that every once in a while there's not a comment that upsets me or whatever, but the more I take it in and the more I let it affect me, who is this motherfucker?
Yeah.
Who cares who this dude is or this woman is?
I don't even know you.
I don't even know them.
don't know
So,
me.
and for me, like, because in my social media, I'm only on IG. I don't have anything else. I love comments and I love responding.
But I was going to tell, because when I look at your stuff, I'm like, he comments to
I
a lot of
respond all the time.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, the whatever. And I always try to keep it positive, right? Because why am I gonna waste my time arguing with somebody? Right. And every once in a while, I'll just, somebody will bring me somewhere, but it's still, I'm just like, yo, dude, how do you know what the fuck is going on in my house? Even that is rare for me to say because I'm not gonna, when you argue with a fool, you become a fool.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
It's two fools.
it's just two fools talking shit on social media. You know what I mean?
Sometimes I have to get ignorant with it.
Yeah, well,
He
no,
like
I
that
get
kind
it.
of
I get it.
He
But
like that.
I just don't give a fuck. I know what's going on in my house.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah, and I'm so, dude, I'm so grateful for the life that I have. It's unbelievable. I can't believe how fortunate I am. And having not nothing to do, but not because I'm in movies or TV or whatever, but for me, it's like most of my life that has nothing to do with that is the fact I found a woman I've been with for almost 25 years now who I still love. I always want to be around her, who still gets me hard, and I still want to have sex all the time. And like, I don't need TRT, baby. I mean, my shit is working all the time. You know what I mean? So
Wait a minute now, and 60 years old.
60 years old.
Don't need no damn TR.
No TR. 61 in 3 weeks. It's so funny because before I came here, I got my blood drawn. I'm just trying to keep up on just to find out what I need. My PSA and all that stuff. But it's just like I'm blessed.
Absolutely.
I'm blessed.
Before I jump into your fitness, you made a comment about your wife and you said, I think this was on the Sway Show, you said she saved you from yourself.
Yes.
Can you elaborate more on that real quick?
Yes,
what does
dude.
saving you from yourself mean?
Well, when I got divorced from Tracy, my first wife, I'd been with her when I was young. So I was doing a series called what's it called?
Well,
I was
having a
just doing
CT moment.
it's called Third Watch in New York, right? So I'm in New York. I'm divorced. I'm working at. All I do is go to set, work out, and date, whatever you want to call it. I don't really call it date.
Wilding out, baby.
I was wilding out, right? and dude, I was just like released. So I was doing my thing, and I was in beautiful shape. I had like super low body fat, and just loving it. Just and just boom, 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 boom. And I did that for years.
Yeah.
6, 7, 8 years. I met my wife near the end of that. And still, she was just somebody I was seeing at the time. And I thought, there's no way I'm getting married again. No way, I'm not
Fuck
putting
that. I did that.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I got 4 kids, so I don't, I'm all good there. And, but I got divorced, and when I met my wife, I was 38 years old, which to us now, that ain't shit.
Yeah,
38. My son is about to be 38. So after a little while, I wasn't going to get married to her because she was young. My wife is 16 years younger than me.
Wow.
And I thought, she's going to want kids. So I can't do that to her. I was like, yeah. So I said, I can't do that to her because I don't want to get back into that. And eventually, man, I realized that how long am I going to be doing this? Yeah. Am I going to be in my late 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s trying to date women? Yeah. And because I always thought that that there's no way I could be monogamous. Because, as men say to themselves, especially when they're young, it's not natural. It's not natural to be monogamous. And that's what I was saying. And I believed it. And I don't even know if I disbelieve it now. But I always thought that I would be unhappy trying to be completely monogamous. Yeah. And so that was what was holding me back. Because I knew I loved this young lady, and I wanted a future with her, but would it be fair to her? Because I didn't want to have kids again. I didn't want, And eventually, I jumped in,
4
and
years later, 5 years of
and when it clicked, because I'm a huge believer in responsibility, right? It's just no accountability, responsibility to me. Like, there's no. If you're not accountable to yourself and to the people that you say you love, then you ain't shit. That's how I feel.
Absolutely.
That's how I feel.
You ain't shit.
You ain't shit. So, but it was time for me to actually practice that in all of my life. Yeah. And so that's how I'd say she saved me, because when I decided to just be with her, just be with one woman, I became happier. I became more content. I became what I considered a real man. You know what I mean? And I have not fucked around since I made that decision. And I'm just happy. I'm blessed. I really am blessed. And
she was the one.
She was the one. And I really feel like, like there's just no, I couldn't be more content and blessed with my life and how my situation is. And it doesn't mean I'm always, walking around, on tulips or anything. But But I'll tell you this, I believe that it's my choice when I wake up to be happy.
Yeah.
I don't care what's going on. If I'm having whatever problems, money or whatever, this and that. If I let into that and I let it suck me down, then that's my choice. I'm choosing that. And instead, I want to choose to be happy. It doesn't mean I'm going to be as happy as I was yesterday or the next day or whatever, but it's my choice to be happy. And I have to back that up with my actions, because talking shit is just talking shit. But living it and doing it, that's what counts. And so that's what I try to do. And I got that for me. I got that from her. Not that what she said to me, but how she's made me feel and how just all of that, man. It's just so I just feel blessed.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. Now we are running. God, I hate these go by so fast, but we got to jump into the fitness side of your life, sir. Solomon, if you could start throwing those pictures up on look at this shit. Look at this shit. Look at this.
That's 55 right there. Yeah.
55 years old.
When we had Terry Crews on, I had to tell Terry, I said, Terry, I'm not jealous of a lot of people, but you, sir, have biceps that I would pray to have. You, sir, on the other hand, I don't even know what to say to something like this, brother. Just,
Put your goddamn shirt on.
Yeah.
I know what to say.
Right.
Mother, cover your eyes over there, mother. I
am grown.
Kind of stuff.
I am grown.
But so clearly fitness has been a major part of your life, and you talked about it a little bit. Was that just from your days of playing football? What was it? What was the mindset behind making sure that you keep your fitness where you need to be? Especially as you get older.
Yeah,
that was the thing, I'm 46.
A lot of ex-football players fat in the motherfucker.
Yeah, dude, I've been one of them. Yeah, I've been fat. No, don't get me wrong. I've been fat. It's just I don't know, dude. It's funny because a lot of people say, "Oh, you're an actor. You got to stay in shape and this." And no, that's not true. There's a lot of fat actors out there, and I have never been cast for my body. I'm not a tall dude. I'm a short dude. I'm not a super handsome dude.
That ain't what the ladies say.
Well,
ladies.
again, I'm not saying I'm ugly or anything like that. I'm just not. I've never been hired. Oh yeah, we need a dude to come in and sweep Halle Berry off her feet.
Look, Vanessa Williams and Angela Bassett.
Yeah. Well, but I was the bad guy, right?
They would put you in.
They brought Wesley Snipes in to take Angie from me at the. But so
it was dark-skinned brothers.
Yeah, exactly. So it never had anything to do with Hollywood or my career or anything like that. I just like being fit. We talked about it. You just feel better.
Absolutely.
And as I get older now, and I have my youngest son is 7.
Okay.
And I just found out that one of my kids is about to have a kid, so I'm about to be a
ready to go to that too. You
yeah.
I was gonna congratulate you.
You got to come with it, baby.
I was gonna tell you, you got to get some pointers. He got 19 grades.
Yeah. Well, I know. I've been watching.
Yeah, I got one. I just got one. My grandbaby turned a year old. It's gonna
yeah.
like,
well, that's what I'm saying, dude. But I want to be here for them. You know what I mean? And I want to be functional.
Yep.
I want to be healthy. I don't want to be a guy and you see it all the time, a 70-year-old, with a cane and walking slow and that. And don't get me wrong, obviously people have ailments that they had nothing to do with, right? I get that. But I don't have that excuse. Nothing's wrong with me in terms of that, right? But if I don't take care of myself, if I just eat whatever, somebody said to me online, actually, it was because I was like, oh well, I gotta watch what I eat and I gotta make, and they were like, bro, you gotta enjoy your life, so don't be so strict and this and that. And I said, and I just remember going, yeah, I agree, you have to enjoy your life, but in order to do certain things, you can't always do what you want.
Absolutely.
You got to do what's best for you. So, if I just say to a kid, oh yeah, do whatever you want. You think them motherfuckers are going to feed themselves or read books or No, they're going to be, so the same with adults. It's like I can't just do whatever I want. I got to take care of my family. I got to take care of, pay the bills, pay the mortgage, and so I want to be around to do that. So I want to be physically healthy, mentally healthy. Because to me, when my body is in shape, my mind is much better. My attitude is much better. You know what I mean?
I don't think people tie the physical part to the mental part.
Yeah.
I was once almost 500 pounds.
Wow.
So
yeah,
I understand losing the weight that I lost and the mental part of it.
Right.
And I tell people all the time, the weight loss is one thing, but the mental aspect of it has been the thing that has been much more gratifying.
Right.
Just
right.
The way I see things now, the way just how I look at food and fitness and all of that stuff. Just things I just, I played football in high school and stuff like that. But as I got out of high school and you get married, the kids come along and you just get caught up in life. And then I look around and I'm 38, 39 years old. And they're like, your blood pressure's through the roof. You're on the verge of a stroke. You're 470 some pounds. That particular day, like I couldn't even get weighed in the hospital. They literally had to take me outside of the hospital on the dock where they put freight at and weigh me on a scale out there. And I'm just like,
yeah,
okay. And then the same, what you were just talking about, being around for your kids. And it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I doing? That for me was the
This
moment.
How much time we got left, or is we overtime?
No, we went over.
Damn.
We went over.
we good.
It's all good. It's all good.
But the fitness part of it, so I see you out walking the stairs, and we have a mutual friend, Miss Tangi Ambrose, told me she was out hiking with you, doing the stairs with you.
She was with my wife and her friends, and my wife came with me, so we all met there.
She was just telling me how much you motivated, because she said, I didn't think I could even get up them stairs.
Well, yeah, because I told her, like I try to tell people, I'm like, listen, you don't have to do what these motherfuckers are doing. I don't do that shit. I said, so find what works for you, right? And so she was like, oh, I got to go all the way up. And she said, I can't do it again. I said, all right, don't do that. Go up one flight. If you're good, go up another flight. And then come back down and then go up the flights again so that you just stay active, right? That's all it is. We have this idea that, we can't all be C.T. Fletcher. We can't do what this man has done.
Can't do what Michael Beach do either.
Right. But isn't that the point? It's like, find what you do, right? And do that. Don't try to be somebody else. Be the best you that you can be, right?
That's it.
So, like, when I go if I go and I work out with some, these badass bodybuilders.
I seen you.
Michael Hearn, Ron
but
Jones.
I can't fuck with them, right? Seriously, I'm not gonna try. I'm gonna do what I can do, right? And I'm gonna be happy with it. You know what I mean? Because the truth is, like you say, I'm about to be 61. I'm in damn good health.
Absolutely.
And I plan on being in damn good health when I'm 71. And God willing, I make it. And the same thing is so I always tell people, because people hit me up all the time. Well, what's your diet and what's your? We all know what we need to do. It's just a question of doing it, right? Like you can't be eating ice cream every day.
Yep.
You can't have cake you don't need me to tell you that sugar is bad.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to have sugar once a week or twice, whatever it is, do your thing. But if you eat a lot of sugar, it's going to put weight on you. Yeah. You drink a lot of sugar. You drinking lemonade and this and that. It's going to put weight on you. So cut it out. Like I say, you can't get rid of it. Okay, cut it in half. Yep. You'll see. And I always think that once you feel what's happening to your body and you see it, it motivates you to do more.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And before you know it, and it's not a race. You don't have to do it by next week. It's not going to happen by next week. But it's going to kick in. But it's up to you. And you don't really need anybody else's advice about what to stay away from.
When he started training me, that's how, when I just started seeing my body change, that started becoming the addicting part to me. I'm like, oh, I'm getting a little definition here. And
Mhm.
It was like, okay. So now I have to purposely stay away from this lady because she is an amazing cook. Part of the reason I was
That's
as
how it
big
is in
as I
my
was
house
is
too.
because I was eating her home cooking. So now
That's
I'm
how
like,
it is in my
California,
house.
I got to stay away from her because she.
Before we get off the fitness thing, you training with all these celebrity fitness influencers,
Right, yeah.
but you ain't brought your ass over to the Valley of the Beast where the Compton Superman hangs out.
Yeah, that's cause I'm a scared. I'm a scared like
And
a
I understand. The
motherfucker.
first time I told him, I said, Pops, I'm a little scared because we were living in Maryland at the time. So we would come back periodically. And I was just like, I'm freaked out about going. I
Yeah.
seen the weight these boys is throwing around over there.
Yeah.
And I don't do heavy lifting. So
Right.
he was just like, the same thing he said, son, all I want you to do is come in there and do what you can do.
Absolutely.
Right.
He said, as long as you give it your all and
We
leave
did
it
it.
all in there, it don't matter if you can't bench 400 pounds. Or
Yeah.
500 pounds. Some of them boys throwing up 800 pounds.
Exactly, yeah.
But he was like, he said, all I ask you to do is come in here and give it your all. He said,
Yeah.
as long as you give me your all,
We good.
No, that's how I have the intensity. You know what I mean? And I love that about but at the same time, like, cause again, I tell people cause I'm just a gym rat. I don't know shit. I'm just a gym rat, right? So I say to people all the time, oh, I didn't give it 100%. I said, you don't have to give it 100% all the time. I know a lot of people say that, and for them, if that works for them, cool. But you have to be consistent,
Absolutely.
that's the
right?
key.
So
right
if you gave 80% one day, and then 75%, and then maybe then you gave it 100, and then but you're going every day or every 5 days a week or whatever it is. That is going to be more important than you giving 100% 2 days a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's really just the effort that you put in and the consistency that you put in that I just try to I just want to impart that to people as a gym rat. Again, I always say I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert on nutrition or how to do this move or that move or blah blah blah. Because, dude, everybody will tell you that's wrong, and then you get to another expert. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You don't know what you're talking about. Like,
Hey, dude,
was
do it all the time.
World
Yeah,
champion powerlifting.
This dude, like, you go like Jay Cutler. So Jay, there's people telling Jay Cutler he's doing something wrong.
Ronnie Cole is
Yeah, right. And you just go, dude, are you serious? And that's the thing I like about it. It's the same with acting. It's like there's no one way to be an actor. You can't say, oh, well, no, you can't. That's the wrong technique, or you should do this, or you should. No, dude, that's an individual. And so how that person works is different from how I work. And the same thing with everything in life, but especially with fitness. Yeah. You know, some people say, oh, put your arm like this. Some people say, put your arm like this. You know, oh, these are stupid. Doing the presses are stupid. Yeah. Oh, you know, you do the. So I don't put much stock into any of that, dude. I really don't. And I think that's what scares a lot of people off from coming into the gym or from, you know, and it's a shame that they get scared by that stuff, but they do, you know. And so I think it's behooves us to invite people in, you know, not just for their sake, but for the country's sake, you know, because the difference between the health today and the health 40 years ago, 50 years ago is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just look at the food.
Well, that's, you know, I mean.
The food is.
Yeah. Bought by the tobacco industry and all of that stuff.
That's
and
a whole nother rabbit hole.
Yeah, exactly.
Mike,
now,
forget the because I fucking said so segment. Give that time.
So, Mom, I'm going to let you do your spiel. Michael, we're not done with you quite yet.
All right,
Mother, I'm going to dedicate a little time to you so you can tell us about Allensworth. So this is very important. Been a major part of my childhood growing up. And clearly it's taking over your life here. But I have watched you put so much time and energy into this place trying to build it back up. So I definitely wanted to make sure I gave you some time to talk about it, promote the park, and promote the new event that's coming up in October. So the floor is yours. Solomon, you start throwing. There you go.
So this is Colonel Allen Allensworth. He was born into enslavement in 1840s. He escaped slavery a few times, but recaptured. So he got out of he left enslavement by joining the army in the Civil War. So when they were going around recruiting people to join the army, he got suited and booted, walked right past his owner, joined up. Once he got into the army, he realized that the black soldiers did not have, excuse me, spiritual leader. So he became their spiritual leader. He ended up in the Navy. He retired from the Navy. He landed at Angel Island, which sits outside of San Francisco. When he retired there, he moved to Los Angeles. When he got to Los Angeles, he realized racism was still alive and kicking.
Mm-hmm.
So he got with some of his friends and said, hey, let's go find a place for our people, a place of safety, a place of economic opportunity, a place where there are no Jim Crow laws. So his friend said, let's do it. So he starts searching around California trying to find a place. So he ends up just about 45 minutes south of Bakersfield, between Bakersfield and Fresno, and he finds this 800 acres. So he and his friends purchased the 800 acres for several reasons. The train at that time stopped right there in front of that town, that land. And it had 3 artesian wells underneath it. So you could literally take a shovel and just dig and the water would bubble up. But because he understood water, he knew that was not enough to sustain the town as it grew the way he had planned for it to grow. So when he purchased the land, he told the Pacific Farming Company, will you provide water as the town grows? Pacific Farming Company, of course, says yes, take his money. The town starts to grow. There is different stories about what happened after that, but what we do know, there was a drought. We know that the town to the west, was all white. And what happens when there's a shortage? People with the power get it. So they took the water out from under Allensworth, which caused a problem in the town. Now you've got people with cattle, they're growing all kind of crops, and without water, you don't have anything. The train discontinued that stop in front of Allensworth and moved 10, 12 miles west to the white town. Well, that crippled the town. Now you have a problem moving people and product, and you have horse and buggy, so you cannot just, drive your stuff 10, 12 miles. As the kids grew up in the town, they went off to college, they moved away, they didn't come back because the economic opportunity was kind of lost. So over time, the townspeople kind of drifted to the north and to the south. A lot ended up in Los Angeles, some ended up in the Bay Area. So the town was in a dilapidated condition. There was a gentleman who worked for the state of California who said, wait a minute, we cannot let this place just die. There's a lot of history here. We need to get California to purchase it and turn it into a historic park. So they did that. Shortly after they turned it into a state historic park, the association comes along because a lot of these parks have associations attached. And so that's what we are. We are attached to this park. And so we put on events in the park 4 times a year. Our next one is the 12th of this month. We will be out there. These are pictures of some of the events. We have partnered with Amtrak. So Amtrak gives discounted tickets to get people there. I am so grateful for Amtrak because they have received a grant. They're giving free tickets to get people on the train. Some of these kids have never been on a train. Some of these adults have never been on the train. There's a campground out there. So at this time, we're trying to raise money to get kids camping, to get them out there, to teach them how to function without electricity, how to start a fire. I mean, if we had a major earthquake here, we're going to be on our own for a while. And if you don't know how to start a fire, how to cook outside, how to store food, there's so much that we don't know as a people. And so we're trying to get people to, sponsor some of these kids, get them to the park. There is a campground at the park. We did get money from Governor Newsom to build a new visitor center. So in this visitor center, it can't be like the one we have out there, which is an old trailer that's a nightmare with no real history in it. We want the history to go back to Africa and bring these people forward because we don't know our own history. What they teach us in school is some of that stuff is not true. It is not complete. Africans did everything. And so I designed this African American perspective tour that I teach out there, and it goes back to Africa and it brings people forward. What were we doing? And when I ask teachers and grown people, what were Africans doing before we were enslaved? And if you're just going to sit there and look at me, we have a problem.
Mm.
We should all be able to answer that question. We invented everything. The first university was built in Africa under King Mansa Musa, the richest man ever. Bill Gates has nothing on King Mansa Musa. We were educators. We were educated. We invented math. We invented the calendar, the 24-hour day. We invented everything. Astronomy, that was us. So when the colonel decided, when he got with his friends who also knew this history and said, come, let's build a place for our people. There was no hesitation because they already knew what we had done in the past. So if you know your own history, it empowers you. We can do whatever we want to do. And he built this town and everything was fine. The schoolhouse, the library, the church, the voting precinct, the choir, they had everything. His whole point was, we don't need anyone. We can be self-sufficient. That was his goal for the town. He wanted to build the Tuskegee of the West. That would have changed the whole dynamics of this place. California said that would be racist.
Mhm.
Now, this is 1900. California, one of the most racist states.
Mhm.
But they didn't want what they was doing to us. They didn't want us to do that to them. So they denied him the ability to build the Tuskegee of the West. So the town did great for about 10, 12 years. And then so when you come out to the park, this is one of the original buildings that they kind of patched up. But most of those buildings out there, in early 1900, people bought those buildings from Sears and Roebuck. Why? Because Sears and Roebuck was one of the few companies that would sell to us. So when State Park purchased the land, they went back to Sears and Roebuck and said, we need these houses. They come on pallets. If you ever come out there and you look up, you'll see most of them have big boats. And they're just bolted together.
Mm.
So when the colonel started this town, everyone worked together. So the colonel built his house out there. Some of the gentlemen built their home. Then he went around everywhere in the United States saying, come to this place. It's a place where you can have your freedom. There will be no Jim Crow here. There was no jail there by design because he was born into enslavement. So he knew what it was like to not have your freedom. So he said, there will be no jail here. Now, if you don't act right, we will boot you out of here, but we will not lock you up. And so there was no crime there. It was just a place where, people came from all over the country. And so they had Tent City in the back. Eventually, the hotel was built. But when you came, if I'm already there, they say, okay, so Mike's coming, him and his family. Okay, well, you can stay with me. I have a house. And those houses are really tiny. So people got along. I mean, you had to get along.
Yeah.
We don't have a Michael Beach house. We got 200-300 square feet, and all of us are going to crowd up in here, and we're going to get along. And I'm going to have a garden, and you're going to have a garden, and we're going to switch out crops, whatever we're growing. And everything was great until the water situation and the train situation. And people started, jumping ship. So it's now a state historic park. And so we try to support the interpretive program. So when the kids come out on buses, we need people there to show them how to make butter, how people lived, what we did there, and to share this history with them. But, in order to get people to the park, there are people, we know them. It's going to be hard to say, come to the park, bring a sack lunch, and we're going to educate you about Black history. We'll get some. We won't get as many as we're here. But if we get well-known people out there to sing or perform or whatever, and then while they're out there, we talk about, do you have your own property? Yeah. Is it in a trust? What's a trust? We have another problem. We cannot sit here and scream about reparations because even if they gave us reparations, and I think California just said no, but there are some cities who give reparations, and it's to buy property. Well, what's the point in fighting for reparations to buy property, and then you die, and then...
The government takes it.
Okay, so when I got up there on the stage, and by no means am I a professional on trust, but I know a little something. So I got up there and I said, we got to put our homes in trust. We have to, and people came up to me and said, well, I have a will. I said, a will is not for your property. A will is for those red bottom shoes and that Cadillac and that, your furniture and stuff, and the jewelry. We're talking about real property. You put that in a trust so that when you pass away, no one has to open up probate.
Right.
It goes to whoever you want it to go to. It's a smooth transition, and that person moves on. And in the trust, you tell them what you want to happen. Do you want this property sold? Never sold? to be protected, to save for the family. I mean, it's really, we don't know our own history. We don't know what was going on in Africa before we were enslaved. We don't know all the things we invented after we got here. You know, every time you pop a bag of Lay's potato chips, which you probably don't eat anymore, our brother invented potato chips.
Yeah, that's right.
We invented everything, math, everything. And so those things were taken from us. And a lot of the inventions that we did, we were not allowed to have patents in our name. So the white people took, you know, a lot of things. You know, people say, well, Ford invented the car. No, he did not. Patterson invented the car. He invented mass production of cars, but a brother invented the first car. Our children need to know this information because it will let them know you don't have to be a gangbanger. You don't have to be uneducated. You know, your ancestors were educated and they did many, many things. When you flip that air conditioner on, thank a sister. She did that. Even the one in your car. You know, you have to. So when you know this information, you know, when I go walk into my home and I feel that air conditioner, I always think about her because she did it for us. You know, when you hit that phone and say, I need to find out how to get to this location, thank a sister because she did that. We need to know this information so we can be proud of us and understand how we need to come together as white people did in the Berlin Conference. When I ask people, what happened in the Berlin Conference? I don't know. Okay, let me tell you. Africa had everything she needed. Africa did not need the world. The world needed Africa, and they wanted her. And so when they had the Berlin Conference, these white people, these European countries, 12, 13 of them, they were fighting over her resources. And they come together and said, we have to stop killing each other over her resources. Let's come together and have a conference, and let's cut her up. Guess who got the most of her? The queen, who wore those diamonds around her. Okay, they got the most of it. They were gangsters in the slave industry. So when she died, Black people were crying, and I'm like, I'm sad that she's dead as a human, but she benefited a lot from your ancestors. You need to know the story. And so the colonel knew information, so he had no problem with building this town. Had it ended up being what he wanted it to be, it would have been a great, great place. And he did not build this to end up being a state historic park, but that's what it is now. And so we have to support this place. And I tell Black people, come to this place, understand the history, and understand all of our history. And please teach your children. And you know, our history, how to protect your property. It's just so much we don't know. You know, how many of us buy our kids Nike tennis shoes, but we don't have them invest in Nike? We're just simple consumers a lot. Too many of us are simple consumers. And we need to educate our kids about investing and what is compound interest. You're 65 years old and you don't know what compound interest is. We have another problem. We have a lot of problems as African American people, and so we need to fix this. And so when the new visitor center comes out here, we want it to be a place of education. And we're hoping that we can get professors to come out, people that are educated in Black history. And we have conferences where you come. If we have to cook and feed you, fine. Bring your lunch, whatever. We just have to figure out how to get people interested in learning our own history and knowing who we are. And so that's what we do out here. We put on these events. We have food and, you know, ribs, chicken, you know, whatever we got to do to get our people to the location. And we're always looking for people to come out and entertain. So, you know, we have a great guy coming out, Sean Rayford from the Bay Area. He'll be our the person that will take the lead in the entertainment this time. So, you know, he'll be bringing his people with him. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But yeah, we're a nonprofit. We're just looking for support from whomever we can get it from. But we really want to get these kids into the park and into camping, and while they're there, we can teach them some Black history.
For you, this is a labor of love.
It surely is. It is.
I watch this woman on a daily basis stress herself out about this. Again, this was a place they used to take us when we were kids. Back when we would go out there in the early 90s, it was jumping. It was a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm not sure when it started to die off a little bit, but
the 90s, early 2000s.
yeah, but now with her hard work, she's getting this place back up. So we have these events. More people are starting to come out. I just wanted to use this platform that I appreciate you for, but allowing her to come on this platform and talk about this because I see how much work she's putting into it, and whatever help we could get with this would be greatly appreciated. What's the website if anybody wants to check the
Friends of
website?
Allensworth, Instagram, Facebook, and info@friendsofallensworth.org website.
So check those out. If you're interested in finding out, we got the event coming up next week on the 12th.
On the 12th.
The 12th, out at Allensworth. So like she said, there'll be entertainment, a lot of educational stuff, entertainment, food, all of that stuff will be there. So if you're in the area, even if you're not in the area, drive on out, check us out. You can reach out to me on Instagram if you would like more information on it, or you would like me to connect you with my mother here. I can do that. You can hit me on Instagram, and I would be more than happy to pass along the information and connect you. But we are definitely looking for as many helping hands as we can get with this park so we can keep it thriving and keep it going.
You know, I appreciate the education because a lot of them things you were saying, I didn't know the answer to. I ain't gonna lie. So I didn't even know about Allensworth, and I appreciate the education. I'm an ex-soldier myself, and I get a lot of questions. Why would you join the Army? Why would you go into the Army? Why would you do that? So for Colonel Allensworth to do that way back then, and I know exactly why he did it. And because at that time we were considered less than human,
Right?
And to prove to, it was very important to prove to his slave masters that I am every bit as much man as you will ever be. And let me shut the fuck up. The show over with.
No, I hear you, brother.
All right. Before we get out of here, Michael, I got one more question for you, and I try to end the shows with this. So you've done a lot over your 40 years in this industry. When we all know we got an expiration date, when it's all said and done, what do you want your legacy to be? When it's all said and done, people look back on your career, what do you want them to say about your career? What's the most important thing to you?
Oh, well, career-wise, because my personal legacy is just my family.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
I'm just talking about more your
But career-wise, I don't know. The idea that I love the journeyman thing. You know what I mean? Like I love the fact that if you know Hollywood, a dude's been around for 40 years and hopefully 50 years and 60 years,
Rare.
that, and to be relevant and not just like hanging on like, oh, I still work every once in a while. If I could do that, the idea that I was a strong journeyman actor, who most of the time you loved his performances. You're not always gonna love it.
Women wanting to beat you up.
Yeah, exactly. Trust me.
All right. So before we go, we got to talk about IronAddictsBrands.com, CT Fletcher merchandise, IronAddictsBrands.com. If you do not get it from there, it is a fake. So please, IronAddictsBrand.com for all of your CT Fletcher merchandise. That is the only place you can get it right now. He got some things in the work. We're trying to get it set up to where you can get it in the stores now. But right now, Iron Addicts Brands is the only place you can get all your certified CT Fletcher merchandise. Father and son trainings. You can train in the backyard with all that old rusty pig iron. You want to come to the backyard and work out with CT Fletcher, you could do that. Or you can get a personal training at Iron Addicts Gym. You can reach out to CT Son, Samson Fletcher Official on Instagram, or you can email the show at ctfletcherpodcast@gmail.com. Excuse me. ctfletcherpodcast@gmail.com. You can reach out to me, and I will pass the message on to CT. But like CT always says, the shit ain't free. So,
absolutely.
But I will say, if you have not done the father and son training program, I've done them multiple times. It is a hell of an experience, especially if you get in the backyard. You got to understand, the backyard is something totally different. Nothing like working out with that old rusty pig iron back there. It's a whole nother experience.
You get Michael a tetanus shot.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a
Definitely
shot.
need a tetanus
when I
shot
be over
before you
there.
come back there. Cause that is
Get a
some of
shot before and after.
Yeah, because that's some old rusty weight. Yeah, some of that stuff, we don't really know how much it weighs. It might, they say it weigh more than regular stuff.
Yeah.
It's got 5 pounds of rust on it, so
That's right. Gotta
But-
add that.
with that being said, we want to thank my mother for being here. Thank you for the history lesson, mother.
Yes.
I love you dearly. And we also want to thank Mr. Michael Beach for coming, especially coming in the studio. We don't get a lot of in-studio guests. So the fact that you came all the way down here.
I'm excited. I was glad to be here.
are
Absolutely.
So appreciative of you coming in. It was an honor and a pleasure to meet you. I've been watching you since I was a young man. So,
All
getting
right.
up there in
Yeah.
age. But the fact that you came here, we truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming in. Ladies and gentlemen, well, I'm going to let you end the show. My mother's sitting here. I ain't going to disrespect my mother. How do we end every show?
Fuck y'all.
See, I see, mother, I don't cuss, so I didn't say that.
Okay.
I don't cuss.
Nah.